Yeah.
Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. Wait, something weird happened there. It used to be this big box in the middle. Now it just came on the top.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
just
in a
you.
Zoom. I'm in a Zoom workplace now. That's weird. Okay, this week Amy picked Serpico from 1973. Stars Al Pacino. I am Frank Gaffney. With us, as always, Joel, Annie King, who's in North Carolina this weekend, and Mark Abacus Gartner. Abacus. And Cringer Angle Fook. Good morning, everybody. And why Serpico?
Well, it's a movie I had never seen. It's on everybody's, I guess, movies you must see list. And I haven't seen that I can think of too many Al Pacino movies from the olden days. Like I saw The Godfather, of course, and this, and I can't think of anything I saw again until Scent of a Woman, but I could be just forgetting.
Hoo-ha!
Hoo-ah!
This is number 844 on the Franken list, so thank you for picking it.
Sure.
Now it's one less movie I have to watch before I die. Wait a minute. Before we start, I want to talk about, I know, not this movie, but that the American Film Institute picked Nicole Kidman this year.
Ethan Cringer was like, "You're not going to talk about this movie, I'm out."
Now, I like Nicole Kidman. What's not to like? But there are more deserving people than Nicole Kidman. Come on.
To get what?
Now, what? Where?
What?
For the American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh wow!
See, they were the actual event was on Saturday night,
Yeah.
and I made a list of people I think should have gotten it. Brad Pitt, Robert Redford, Tom Cruise, Sam Jackson, Bill Murray, Julia Roberts, Sally Field, Jodie Foster, Quentin Tarantino, Francis Ford Coppola.
I don't know about
None
those.
of them have the American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award.
I think that they need to go back to honoring people who are towards the twilight of their careers.
Exactly.
You know,
well, hopefully Nicole is.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, Al Pacino did win this award in 2007. Rightfully so. But let's go back to Serpico. So nobody else cares that Nicole got the award. I think Joel said it best.
And talk about Nicole Kidman.
I think Joel said it best. He said the AMC's theater ad put her over the top in contribution to cinema. That was it.
Right.
That's why they gave it to her. This is cinema. Okay. Here's the plot of Serpico. An honest New York cop named Frank Serpico blows the whistle on rampant corruption in the police force, only to have his comrades turn against him. Well, that's pretty much the movie. So I jotted down some notes while I was watching it. Why does it seem like Al Pacino is doing a Dustin Hoffman impression? The movie, he sounded very much like I was doing a. Okay.
But you know, don't they both come out of the same acting schools?
And they're both
and they're both short, you know, men of the late 60s, early 70s New York.
They do sound similar in other movies as well.
Yeah. And yeah, but Dustin Hoffman isn't quite as intense. And then when he was talking to his mother, I was like, where's the subtitles right now? What are they saying to each other?
Yes.
I know.
I thought, did I record it weird or something? No, I'm watching it on Paramount. I turned on the subtitles. There were no subtitles. All right. And also funny was when the sergeant was passing out the marijuana cigarettes so they can check them, you know, make sure that they understood what it was that was pretty funny. And then Tony Roberts and the Wise potato chip vending machine.
I saw Wise.
I'm like, oh my God, I need one of those for my house.
I loved how they referred to it, though. I don't remember what it was. I need to buy some potatoes or something. From now on, potato chips are just potatoes.
Potatoes. I need potatoes. And you know it was Al Pacino who was like, I need a dog, a white mouse, and a cockatoo before I'm friendly to animals. What was all that about?
Well, he did have a sheepdog in real life.
Yeah, but did he have a cockatoo and a pet white mouse?
Maybe. I would think so.
Ridiculous. And we just saw Jack Kehoe in The Sting. He was the guy who got his nose broken. And here he plays a character called Tom Kehoe.
Yeah, I saw that.
Spelled differently.
Yes.
Spelled differently.
Okay. And I'm sorry, the second girlfriend with the Paco, oh, she was terrible. Her voice was so looped the entire time. She was so bad.
Her breakdown scene was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Torturous. And I kept thinking, we don't need to see this much of his personal life. And I also thought Al was a little bit out of control. I mean, and he was improvising that whole one-shot scene where he brought the guy in, threw him in the cage, tried to pull his pants down. I was like, what is he gonna butt fuck him now? What's going on? And then they're all just standing around and watching him, and then he goes back to the desk, breaks the chair. I'm like, calm down, Mary. Seriously. It was all too much. And the music was just weird. Like the music cues would come up and it's so big orchestrated music things.
So there's a reason for all of that.
Okay.
Sidney Lumet did not want the movie to have any music whatsoever. He felt
he was right.
But he knew that Dino De Laurentiis was going to insist on it, and since he didn't have final cut, he was worried that De Laurentiis would literally just take the film back to Italy and make it wall-to-wall music.
Right.
So I forget the name of the guy that he wound up working with.
It was some Greek person.
Yeah, who had actually just gotten out of jail and needed the job.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a reason to hire him.
But even he agreed that the movie shouldn't have music, so they came up with this little bit that would constantly, when they did use it, go over the top. So
it was horrible. Just horrible. It just seemed like the music was in the wrong movie. All of a sudden, you'd hear these big strings come in. I'm like,
well, but I actually have.
I thought maybe I started a video on the other screen. I'm like, wait a minute. Something else
I have a note about when he graduates. The music playing in the background sounds like it's right out of The Godfather too. It was so Italian.
Oh yeah, there was the beginning of the movie was very Italian.
Yeah,
and then it was so cute to see the Coca-Cola placement and the Miller High Life. I bet, and the Wise potato chips. I bet this was back in the day when you didn't need permission to show people's labels. They didn't care. And there's all kinds of inappropriateness that would never fly today. Mark, I have a question. Do you have an uncircumcised shamrock between your legs?
No.
Just wondering. But here's the thing. It's a gritty movie from 1973. Okay, 50 years ago, this was gritty. It was kind of at the tail end of Hollywood's puritanical era, and filmmakers felt, now they could free up, they could curse, they could, be edgier. And but Al Pacino, he was nominated for an Oscar here for his courageous and daring performance. But for me, it was a little overwrought and even a little bit hammy. And to Amy will love this joke. It was like, look at me, I'm an actor. Look at me. And, he's trying so hard to be edgy. And I'm like, again, calm down, Mary. And it's more melodramatic than it needs to be with the girlfriends. I mean, really. And it also made it seem like Serpico was the only honest cop in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
The only one, yeah.
Only one. Well, and Tony Roberts kind of was a little bit his partner. Yeah. But of course it was quite gutsy and current because, I mean, he only resigned in 72. This movie was 73. Yeah. And it has that moral urgency of those movies in the 70s, and like All the President's Men, which we just watched. But I feel like it's the kind of thing you would get a TV movie or an episode of Law and Order about now, today. But it definitely feels, kind of spontaneous and rough around the edges and very 1970s. Mm-hmm. But again, it felt like a world. It felt like a world. It felt like that was definitely the way it was. And the director of this movie, Sidney Lumet, he knows New York very well, and easily one of the best elements of the film. But even Sidney Lumet has had better films: 12 Angry Men, Network, which Amy just watched. And he would team next year with Pacino for a much better movie called Dog Day Afternoon. And it's a better performance from Pacino too.
Oh wait,
But
is
I
that the
feel like,
bank robbery one?
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
Okay, I watched that one
Attica,
last year.
yeah.
Yay.
yeah. But it's just an era where Pacino was just trying too hard to make his mark on things and to be different. And so I give it 3 stars. I did enjoy it, but it was all a little too ... Annie King, when did you never saw this before, I assume?
Nope, first time seeing this.
Not
And
necessarily your kind of movie.
no, definitely not my kind of movie. And I think you pretty much said everything that I was going to say. It's a very 70s kind of movie, like dramatic, and I'm sure it fit right in at that time. And maybe if I had watched it in the 70s, I probably wouldn't have understood it anyway, since I was like 10.
No, I definitely remember seeing this movie before. And even before I started, I'm like, this is a 3.5 movie. I definitely remember it's really good. And watching it now, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I felt it was just a little too much, like you said, a little too long, a little too much personal. It was fine. I watched it. It was enjoyable, kind of, but definitely not my type of movie. And it felt, definitely very 1970s kind of things. So you pretty much said everything I would have said. I agree. Three stars for me too.
Wait a minute. So maybe next week I should say nothing, and one of you could go first. So I won't take away everything you were going to say.
Yeah, you said it all.
Well, whose movie is it? Don't we normally, go with whose movie it is?
It's your
They
movie.
usually whoever's movie is goes last.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mark, you have the picture up, so you enjoyed it.
I did, but I'll go off.
So
note
for
by
those of
saying-
you who don't know, that's Frank Serpico on the left. Mark is in the middle. Al Pacino is on the right.
In case you have a problem discerning which is which.
Well, it might be dyslexic people.
Or colorblind people.
But it's funny because he's on my right, not my left.
Yeah, you're backwards to you.
Yeah.
I always flip it because then I go to touch my hair and I'm doing the wrong hand.
Anyway, I'll start by saying I just learned that I've been pronouncing Sidney Lumet wrong. I always thought that's
Lumet?
Lumet?
It's French. It's French.
That's right.
Lumet.
Yeah. The opening siren in the very beginning in the credits was horrendous, and I had to fast forward that. That would just irk the hell out of me. But this is my second time watching it. I actually have seen this before. It's a like, not a love. I agree with what you're saying. It was gritty, but I enjoyed the true story behind it. If this was just a movie that was made, this would have been maybe a 2.5, 2.75. But I really did appreciate that this guy actually went through this, and I'm sure some liberties were taken. Like you said, he's the only honest cop. And I didn't find him too off. A couple of scenes, yeah, he went a little bit crazy with the breaking the chair, sure. But I actually like this better than Dog Day Afternoon. I didn't really like that too much. That I felt was I don't know, just not my movie. But all I gotta say is, man, it's gotta suck to get shot in the face. That's a tough one. And I don't have any other. That's the thing though. Even though I liked it, I didn't find myself writing many notes. So that's all I got. 3.25 for me.
All right, Joel. I assume you've seen it before,
I have seen it before,
but not in like 20 years.
Yeah, probably it's been about 20 years since I've seen it, and it gave me the excuse to finally throw on the recent 4K version of it to check out that. So, and I did watch the extras that are on the disc too. So,
Of course you did.
but no, I don't always get the chance, but this time I did. Admittedly, they were kind of boring. Um, it was a lot of stuff about Sidney Lumet, or Lumet, as some of us
Lumet.
pronounce it,
Thank
and New
God.
York, and how much he loves New York, and how he's so good at,
Lovely.
you know, making the city its own character.
And that's what ruined the Wiz. But go on.
Yeah, that's what ruined the Wiz.
That is what ruined the Wiz.
Anyway,
Ay,
I,
ay,
I I like the movie. It's you know, it is very much of its time, and I'm going to agree with just about everything everybody's already said, because it you know, it does have that 70s feel, and it hasn't become that timeless classic that so many other 70s films have become. Um, I think Pacino's.
do you think, Joel? Do you
Yeah.
think that's because it is such a specific time? Like
Yes.
The Godfather is a timeless classic because it spans a breadth of years, and it's not just
Sure.
this is what a current movie looks like.
Right, but even you know, looking at something like from, you know, Apocalypse Now, you know, is also about a specific time, but it also feels
Like a
timeless.
70s movie.
Yeah. Whereas this is
I
very,
need an example. Yeah.
it's very much of its period. It's very much stuck there, in so many different ways. Not necessarily a bad thing, but also not necessarily a good thing. I think it keeps it from being, you know, closer to a 4-star movie, you know, that I think some in the 70s thought it was.
I think also a lot of, maybe today, especially a lot of people don't relate at all to a gritty 70s New York movie.
Well,
We're like, oh my God, look, there's Sullivan Street, whatever.
It's
That's what the police cars looked like back then to us because we lived it.
right. No, of
Right.
course. And it's funny because, you know, when we listen to certain politicians today talk about the crime and the hellscape that is America, you know, yes, my brain first jumps to, you know, Mad Max, and that's the world we live in, is of the road warrior that they're trying to describe. But I think they're really going back to the 70s of New York, which really doesn't exist anymore. You know, but you know, it is silly that most of the movie, it's like, yeah, he's the only honest cop in New York. And there are moments where you start to think, well, you know, the corruption in the police department that they're depicting, well, who are they really hurting? It's all like, you know, numbers rackets and stuff. This, you know, they're skimming money off the top from other criminals. I know
Yeah.
that's bad, but at the same time, he's like, how often do you see that in other movies where nobody gives a shit? You know.
Right.
And I think that the movie, there's a comedy version of this about an undercover cop who just keeps walking in off his job, you know, his day out, and he comes in dressed as an Orthodox rabbi or as a pimp. So I was like, you know, it's like, what's
every room he enters, somebody's trying to do something illegal.
yeah. It's there's just, it's like, you know, when you watch Law and Order with Jerry Orbach and he's always eating something, you know, it's like, what is he eating in this scene, kind of thing. How many hot dogs did he have to swallow? How many costume changes did Serpico really have in a
Those
day?
were great, though.
Yeah.
Those are great.
And then I read that they filmed the movie backwards because of the facial hair.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Today they would just get him an appliance and it would look great.
Yeah, but back
Dishwasher
then
machine.
it wasn't gonna look great. So it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. I don't know that it's a um you know, I don't think it's the classic we all think it should be, or potentially want it to be at times,
Assumed it was, for
or
sure.
or even assumed it was. Yeah. Pacino's in the middle of what if you look back on it, is a really strong run of acting. Yes, there's some definite over the topness in this film that kind of creeps into some of the other stuff he's doing as well, but I think that's naturally him. You know, and I'm of the opinion that his win for Scent of a Woman was, you know, the hey, we're
Like,
sorry we didn't give you the Oscar for
Yeah.
name 8 other movies you did before this
That was definitely a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
But I still, Joel, every time you say you're going to torture me with a movie, I'm going to add that on for next year.
That's fine. I'll just give it a 2.
Oh, I like that movie.
I love the movie. I love it.
Hoo-ha? You like hoo-ha?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see Al Pacino play a live action cartoon version of Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm going to go with Mark, though, and give it a 3.25. Just because going into it, I was like, oh yeah, it's not a 4-star movie, but it's a 3.5 movie.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
remember
not.
it being
but it's
better too. I remember it being. I thought this was going to be 3.5 to 4 stars for some people, but then as I watched it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
Wait, but
Well,
one thing that Amy said, I did want to get back to that I thought of at the time, that the 5 of us all being New Yorkers, I feel like if we were a group of people in Boise, Idaho, this would probably be more like 2.5 because we just don't get New York City, especially in the
We don't
70s.
get New York.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure even today, this is the New York people think exists still today.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was trying to say.
On the street and
Yeah.
horrible neighborhoods and
Instead of
nothing gentrified.
what did we just watch? Oh, last night Natasha and I watched the animated movie Migration that came out at the end of last year. And there's a whole scene in New York City in Times Square, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what it looks like today. It's just this Disneyfied version of what you think Las Vegas should look like if it was a different city.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, Aim, you hadn't seen this before. That's why you put it on your list.
That is correct. I did actually watch it 1 3/4 times because I found it hard to hear the dialogue, hard to pick up on it. And a lot of the talking was fast, and they were saying things that are not like in the vernacular today. I texted to you how much I loved and how much we were supposed to understand, which of course everybody did, but I loved that instead of mentioning the word, calling people rats like 4 times, they just called them cheese eaters. And I just thought that was so cute. Like, I guess we're supposed to understand that means a rat. And when he was playing with the mouse, I thought, oh my God, this is like this little clever play he's playing with a rat. But it turns out it was a mouse, so that was lost. So I did have to watch it again because there were other things that I was like, I didn't really know what like numbers running, really what it was and why they would like jump on the guy and steal his money. A lot of it was like, let me just try to hear about it again. And it did help the second time. And
you did just watch The Sting a few weeks ago, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Money laundering.
I know, but it all appeared differently here. So I did enjoy it quite a bit. I'm also going to give it 3 1/4 stars. And Frank, at the very end, I didn't realize it until I read all the trivia. And speaking of trivia, by the way, there is like an hour long, 45-minute long documentary, I guess, on Serpico with Serpico and like the guy, the New York Times writer. So it's really interesting them talking about what really happened. And I'd say 99% of what happened in this movie, I don't know about the mouse and the bird, everything else really happened. So that was really cool that nothing was like.
And I think that was pretty recent that they spoke.
Yeah, it was like 2018 or something. And he long since left Europe. He's back in somewhere in the tri-state area, I want to say, and he's doing a lot of good work again with this kind of movement.
Well, it's a good thing that Mark posted his picture, so if we see him,
right.
So now all the corrupt cops that are still alive from that day that wanted to kill him, they know what he looks like now.
Yeah.
No, I saw this has got to be 10, 15 years ago. He's all gray now. Yeah.
Frank, so at the very end, I didn't recognize it until I read the trivia. You know how he's sitting in front of the big ship on his way to go to Europe?
Yeah.
That ship is a ship we have been on. That was the SS.
Yeah.
AKA the SS time. I didn't really look. And they just renamed it the Norway, and we were on that ship.
Yeah.
And everybody did catch Judd Hirsch at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, I meant to mention that.
Murray Abraham at the end of the movie.
At the beginning and the end, he was in the hospital. I was like, oh my God. Because somebody else was in it, and F. Murray Abraham, and I never saw him. And he didn't even get a credit to see who he was.
Right. But he's the
Judd Hirsch was right.
No, he was when he had the 4-person team, F was the leader guy. And
Yeah.
he was in the driver's seat of the car. I rolled down the window. I'm like, oh, there's F right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He went into the building with him. He was the cop on the staircase who, when he's like trying to break in and the guy shoots him in the face, he was one of the cops that wasn't going out.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course, of course, he's 50 years younger, so
Yeah, Judd Hirsch was a lot closer to what we
it's a
remember.
taxi time.
And plus his voice hasn't really changed. So you recognize that voice anywhere.
Yeah.
There was somebody else who was uncredited. I remember seeing.
I don't know why I didn't look it up, and I should have. And it's not somebody that you guys would necessarily recognize, but the actor who played Baron Harkonnen in David Lynch's version of Dune was the bartender or the restaurant owner when they walked in and Serpico ordered he said order anything you want, and he ordered the expensive roast beef sandwich as opposed to the
Oh, yeah.
and I've been blanking on the guy's name for like 2 days now, and I keep forgetting to look it up. Anyway,
That was a great scene, though. I loved
Oh, yeah.
that scene.
I totally agree with Al on I'll pay for it because I'm not eating this shit.
Yeah.
right, yeah,
But he should have taken the soup. Hello.
No, the only other one I
What he told him to
recognized,
take.
the one I recognized was Clark Griswold's father from Christmas Vacation. As a young man,
John
here.
Randolph. Yeah,
Is
John
that his
Randolph.
name? Yeah, I forget. All I know is that's the only movie I've ever seen him in other than Christmas Vacation.
Funny.
And AIM, this you totally remember when cops would come into the bagel store.
I was just going to say that.
We would never charge them for whatever they wanted.
Yep.
Because then they would come behind the counter and put up their bagels together themselves. But what we did start doing, if you both remember, I'm sure you will, is if the store was crowded, we didn't want it to look like, because we absolutely were giving them free
Right.
food, so
We
they
would
didn't
take money from them, pretend we
dollar.
rang up something, and give it right back to
give them
them.
4 quarters back.
Yeah.
So the customer
Yeah.
looked like they were paying. And then, because you could not park anywhere on the LIE service road where the bagel store is.
Right.
So
So they would look the other way.
So corruption in 1982.
Still
was
existed.
there.
Yeah.
And it probably, on that level, I hate to say it, it probably still exists, but
Yes.
it's more systemic now. It's more hidden now.
Joel, Paulie's Bagels. You recall that was in the same. It's in the same mall that your video store used to be.
Yeah.
We go in there on Saturday morning. There's always cops there, and I don't believe they pay.
Right. Yeah.
So that still
What?
happens right here in
The cops should
Norwood.
be hanging out in the donut shops.
Yeah, but all the donut shops are cheap.
Nice.
That is funny, because when I worked at the bagel store, it was still to this day back then, cops love their donuts. I was like, no, they don't. They eat bagels every day. They're here eating bagels. I love it.
It probably comes that stereotype probably comes from somebody thinking that the bagel they're eating is a donut, and it just got
Right.
there.
No, when we started at the bagel store, people in the country didn't even know what a bagel was.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
They
true.
saw that thing as, they must be eating donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bread donuts.
Yeah. By the way, I looked it up real quick. It's Kenneth McMillan was the actor.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Sure.
Those are the character actors that did so much TV and movies in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
We
talk about Jack Keogh playing, in The Sting and in this, and my brain always goes to, and I don't know if you remember this, The Untouchables. He was Pacino's accountant that, they.
Well, look at us. We can have a Jack
Pacino's
Keogh
accountant?
film.
Not
You mean
Pacino,
De Niro's?
Capone. Yeah, De Niro. They're all the same actor at this point.
Yeah.
They're all
And
in their 80s. They were big in the 70s, and now they're just.
you'll be happy to know that Jack is still alive. He's 85 years old.
Yes.
Annie had something to say.
Oh, did you?
Yes, no, I was wondering, was it just me? Did he move apartments, or did his apartment look different, like every single time? Like,
Yes.
it just kept looking better, or like from when he
Yeah,
first
I
moved
guess they were
in?
trying to show the years were moving along, and
Yeah, I think that's also why, the dog went from puppy to.
yeah, and he also had different girlfriends, so I'm sure they influenced some of the decor. But I did read that both of those girls, the first girl was actually the producer's girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
She was in it for like 2 minutes.
That's how good she was in the role. And and Serpico actually married 4 times, and those 2 women, he was actually married to both of them.
Including Marianne,
Oh.
who we mentioned early in the movie about setting me up with Marianne, right?
Yeah, that was interesting.
He ended up
All right,
marrying.
so the personal life could have been a lot more complicated than it was. Okay, well, Serpico is available to stream on Paramount Plus if you subscribe to that service with Showtime, or you can rent it on Vudu for $2.99, or go to your damn library.
I
Next
tried.
week,
It's still sitting on hold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
they
never
need
got
to,
it.
they need to call that person and say, bring the damn movie back. Next week, Joel picked us a foreign film.
I did.
He
Europa.
did.
Oh, Europa. We're up to
Europa.
that already.
From
Cool.
1990. Not only is it a foreign film, it's a Jew film. That one is on Max, so we should be okay.
Well,
to watch it.
it's your timing. I just threw it out there, but your timing is good because I believe this coming week is Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So
Sure,
What
sure.
date is that?
I think it's the second or
Showa
third.
of May.
Yeah. Hang on.
Well, that's why I scheduled it for this week.
Yes, exactly. I knew that's why you did it.
Good timing.
Hang on.
Can't wait to watch that one.
Didn't
It's
it win?
directed by-
Yeah, it won the Oscar. It was
It's
great.
actually it's Sunday,
No,
May
it didn't
5th.
win the Oscar.
Cinema Paradiso, I'm thinking. Oh,
Yeah,
Sunday,
it did
May
not
5th
win
into
the
the
Oscar.
6th.
Say that
It
again, Joel?
was
Sunday, May
directed by
5th.
right.
Okay.
it was directed by a woman.
Having
Right.
two conversations here.
Joel, please
So
say what you
yes, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, is Sunday, May 5th into Monday, May 6th.
Oh, perfect. Oh my God.
And is this
I'm
where I should
pressing
tell you I might be late for this because we're picking Malcolm up from school?
Not here.
This is not the place for that.
Oh,
Joel.
okay.
I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
No, so with you.